What's up, everyone? My name's Matt, and welcome back to Formula Foodie, a show about food, Formula One, and the ways that I enjoy food culture around the world. This week, we're traveling to Sao Paolo for the Brazilian Grand Prix at one of the most storied tracks in all of racing. In the past, Interlagos hosted the season finale of the Formula One season, and even if it's not of the end of this season, it's always an action-packed and oftentimes rain-soaked affair. This always provides for interesting and competitive racing, and I hope nothing short of that for this week as well. And in the spirit of Brazil, I want to enjoy myself a nice BBL. That's right, a Brazilian bowl of love, otherwise known as Moqueca. And I bet you couldn't even tell this was my first time carving fish. But first, let's go back and look at the Mexico GP from last week and review all the action that happened there. Qualifying is always an interesting affair in Mexico, being that they're at such high altitude and the cars are put through so much strain and stress. There can usually be some interesting qualifying results. Once again, we had Ferraris outperforming their own expectations, although not quite catching Lando Norris, who was ahead of the rest of the field by 0.4 of a second. It seems that Max's outstanding qualifying results of the last few weeks have fallen a bit short. He and Oscar Piastri seemingly well out of the hunt for P1, both about a half a second off the pace. This boded well for Lando's chances in terms of getting more points, and it certainly paid off in the race. While Lando is not historically known for his strong starts to races when he's on pole position, he was lucky enough to hold on to first place by the end of the first lap. There was, however, quite a bit of chaos going on around him. Max Verstappen completed a pretty gnarly board slide down the outside curb. Some would say it was pretty hopeful of him to try and make that turn as he rocketed his lawnmower almost to the wall, lucky to get out of it and make it back onto the track. At first, both myself and George Russell were a bit critical of Max's move there. It's something we've seen from him before, taking advantage of the rules, but this honestly seemed like something where he just really lost control of the car and was lucky to get out of it. Not too long after, Max was battling with Hamilton for position on track, and Hamilton unfortunately got what seemed to be a pretty hefty penalty, a 10-second penalty for maybe something that could have just been a swap of positions, but it's hard to know. Max definitely paid the price for it last year with pushing Norris around. This track invites you to race hard and push your car to the limit, and we love to watch it. Even if we don't always agree with the end result, it's always contentious and it always brings you onto the edge of your seat. Ollie Behrman, who had a very strong race start amidst all the chaos, was able to benefit even more from Max and Lewis fighting, and was running up in P3 for quite a while, until Max's strategy ended up working out. He almost got himself on the podium for the first time, and that in his rookie season. This kid has definitely had flashes of talent. If he can get his consistency down, he's going to be something else. Speaking of consistency, Oscar has yet again had quite a struggle for pace. In qualifying, he just really didn't have what it took, and although he did get promoted a couple positions with some good, strong racing, it pales in comparison to his early season performances. Ooh, look at that spooky tomato paste. Very Halloween. This little mirepoix was very aromatic. Adding that stock in, you could already tell this was shaping up to be tasty. Anyone craving a milkshake? I've got to say, I still have mixed feelings about the Pirelli tire strategy. Sometimes we'll go a whole weekend with most teams not even touching the slow tire, and even if they do want to make a two-stop, you still have to pass on track, which has proven very difficult this year. It seemed to work out well in Mexico, with Max Verstappen being one of the only ones to make a one-stop really work as far as gaining positions. He just kept those tires alive at the end of the race, and nearly overtook Charles Leclerc if it wasn't for a very late, second-to-last lap virtual safety car. That in itself was a bit questionable and could have changed the fate for Leclerc and Oliver Behrman, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Max and Oscar would have loved to have more points to claw back, and Oscar may have still held on to the championship lead, but we'll see what happens at the end of the year. Maybe it will play a part, maybe it won't. With the points race so tight and only 3 races left, I have a feeling this is going to get very interesting. This little side dish that I'm preparing is definitely one that caught my eye. I've had grilled pineapple before, but adding on that extra sugar and cinnamon to caramelize and crust on the outside, I couldn't resist. And would you just take a look at that mess I'm making? That surely will be tons of fun to clean. Now that the citrus has partially cooked the fish, we're going to drop it into the soup to finish it off and make a nice, tender, hearty flavor. This moqueca had wonderful notes of citrus, spice, and a well-rounded broth, pairing well with the sweet, refreshing, grilled pineapple that really tied it all together. Now that we've assembled it all, let's take a look at our little piece of art here. I hope you enjoy the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're in for a great one, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.